Okay, so today I'm commuting to work. No real reason, I just wanted to ride. I felt like feeling the wind today, so that's kind of my reason. But I have a really cool, I guess, kind of beginning story as to how I got here, I guess, and I'll tell you guys why I got this bike and how I got into riding and kind of how I fell in love with the motorcycle world, you could say. It's really been I estimate 2.5 to 3 year journey. Yeah, you better not have gone, you fucking dick. To where I am today, and it's been excruciatingly painful waiting. I think patience was the biggest thing that I should have had and I didn't have, because you know, you just want to ride, you just want to get onto it, and it's a lot harder than you would think, at least in my position, to just go out there and get a bike, you know. So I'll try to remember things as clearly as possible, and I'll try to take you in through every single kind of timestamp of my life and milestone that I made towards actually getting a bike. So yeah, I'll try to, you know, accurately describe the journey. I'll get in front of you because y'all ain't shit. I bet he knew I was gonna do that. But basically, it all started around 3 years ago. I know I've said that before. There's definitely an ambulance with his lights on behind me, but he won't catch up. You know, I'm big into gaming and I'm big into YouTube, so I'm all over YouTube. I'm all over just on my downtime when I'm not working, because I was 19, so yeah, I was working at the time. I was out of high school. I didn't go to college. I still don't. I just work, but I have a full-time job. Well, full-time is an understatement. I have an overtime job, but basically, you know how you get into those weird rabbit holes of YouTube where you just don't know where the hell you're at. And one day I stumbled onto just kind of like motorcycle YouTube, and I can't tell you the exact first video that I watched because I don't remember. I started watching a lot of motorcycle videos, and big channels that I got really into were channels like Motornosity. Do It With Dan was one of my favorites. Chase on Two Wheels I didn't start watching until a little later, but I do watch him now. Blockhead is awesome. Walterific I don't really watch. But I just started watching motorcycle videos, and then I started getting into channels like Dirt Bike Lunatic and Moto Madness, who are just really fun to watch. And yeah, so I started just kind of falling in love with everything that was motorcycle riding. And going back a couple years ago, you know, I used to go to church and stuff, so we had just kind of like a group going out to play flag football, or not flag football, but like two-hand touch, you know, because church people, you know, they don't like tackling. But basically, so we went out to go play football, and I wasn't close with him at the time, but actually Jonathan, oh my god, come on, rose up on his first bike that he ever had, which was a Honda Rebel. And when he did that, I was just like, wow. Like, I wasn't close with him at the time, we hadn't gotten close yet, but I've known him for a very long time. And so once kind of like I saw him riding that, I was just like, wow, man, like that's so fucking awesome. Like, it's someone that I know, like, on a motorcycle, and I had never really like experienced that before. So I was like, wow, that's really cool. And you know, slowly me and him started getting closer. I was still watching YouTube. So once I saw him, you know, kind of like on the bike, And you know, I kind of started talking to him a little more and more as the time went by. I used to just kind of ask him questions about the bike and stuff, and man, I can't really tell you, but skipping a little bit of time, he ended up switching from a Honda Rebel to a Harley Roadster 1200. I mean, you guys would know that that's a 1200, but he switched to a Roadster, which I thought was even cooler. Of course it is. And then eventually to the bike that he's on now, which is his Street Bob. So he did all that before, you know, I even got kind of like close to getting my first bike. So that's illegal. Holy shit. And that's what I don't want to do. See, is it just this truck in front of me? Wow. So, you know, slowly we ended up getting really close as friends, and I would always ask him questions and I would keep watching videos. But at the time, I kind of always had, during that 3-year stretch, I always had like mediocre jobs. I believe that when I was 19, I was working at Disney, and you would think, hey, that's not a mediocre job, but I was a busboy at Disneyland. I worked at Flo's V8 in Cars Land, and you know, I was making like 11 something an hour. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do on 11 something an hour? I worked there for almost a year, and then about, you know, when I was done there, I actually ended up working at actually, like, funny story, I worked at Taco Bell for 1 week. I was like, nope, this is not for me. Worked at Taco Bell for 1 week, and then I ended up getting hooked up with a job at a what the fuck am I saying? I ended up getting hooked up with a job at a bathtub factory. But essentially, as the time went on, I could only more and more fall in love with motorcycles. And the longer that I watched the videos, anyways, cars are annoying. The longer that I watched videos, you know, the more like desire that I had to get a bike. Okay, now I remember. So eventually, oh, I'm talking about my jobs, huh? So basically, I was working mediocre jobs that didn't pay very much, and at this bathtub factory, I was making okay money. Like, it wasn't that bad. But the thing is that I was working 12 hours a day, 6 days a fucking week. So I was working 5 to 5, so 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. Monday through Saturday, and I would get home at 5 a.m. on my day off, and then sleep all day, and then have to go back to work the next day. I did that for like 6-7 months, and I made, obviously when you work that many hours you make okay money, but I had nothing at the time. So I you know, my first check I bought a phone. With my second check I bought my PlayStation, because I didn't have a PlayStation at the time. So those are, you know, not big purchases, but you know, things that definitely set you back, but they're like $500 minimum. And then my stepdad gave me a car, but I was paying it off, so like, it wasn't like anything expensive or anything like that. You know, it was a little Corolla, but I was paying him back slowly, so obviously I couldn't do anything during that. I ended up, long story short, getting a job at a gym. I got a job at a Planet Fitness in my local area, and I worked there for a year, maybe, yeah, like around a year. So working there, man, it was part-time. It wasn't anything special. It's a gym. It's not like they're gonna give you good money. So it's not like I had, you know, my own like financial stability. I had none of that. And unfortunately, you know, I ended up having to kind of not give away, but kind of give back my Corolla, because you know, we were going through some shit. So anyways, I was never making good money, and I had to get rid of the Corolla, and my mom had bought a Jeep, and she was like, if you want a good car, then pay this one off monthly. So that's a $500 a month payment, and I'm pretty much making a little bit over 500 bucks a check at this gym. So it's really nothing. And so I could, you know, basically one check would go towards like bills and stuff, and then the other check would go straight to the car and nothing else, and I barely had enough money for gas and all that. So although, you know, it was a better morale, I wasn't financially stable, and it really, you know, kind of sucked. So that's that. After all that, I ended up getting gym at a warehouse. Down like about an hour away from me. I'm in 4th. What the fuck? About an hour away from me, thanks to one of my good friends. But eventually that job ended up falling through, and I sort of kind of got laid off in a way. Not fired, but it kind of laid off. It's a long story. But yeah, so after, you know, losing that job, I was jobless for around, man, like three months almost. Yeah, fuck y'all. Tell me this light's green. Oh, you son of a bitch. So I was jobless, and man, it was really hard to kind of sustain myself at that point. And you know, going through life without a job once you're, you know, after 20 is almost impossible. So that was the situation at the time. And luckily, about a year, almost a year ago, so in December it'll be a year, I landed the job that I have now, and I was lucky enough to have a connection to the security guard job that I'm currently working at. So I started that job December 1st, 2019, before the world went to absolute dog shit. And lucky enough for me, this job pays very well, and I went in working full time. Now that's evolved to well over full time. I work a lot. But in a way, if it wasn't for that job and the way I work right now, I wouldn't have what I have. So I ended up getting this job starting as a security guard at a cemetery. But essentially, I get this job and immediately start working full-time with them. And for around a month or so, I had 2 jobs. I was working at another gym and working 7 days a week. But that job was minimum wage, and the cemetery job that I had was well over minimum wage. So I decided to prioritize my security job, and ever since then, you know, we had a big raise, and you know, now that I'm working a lot more, I'm able to, you know, I was just paying things off left and right. I had a loan, you know, I had a lot of debt. You know, I owed money to some friends, and so slowly but surely I started catching up on pretty much everything that was holding me back, to the point where I was actually able to save money, and I was actually able to enjoy my money. So I bought a PC. You know, here comes the irresponsible stuff when you start making money. But after taking care of what I had to take care of, I actually started, you know, taking care of myself, and it was really awesome, and it was cool to be able to do that for the first time in my life and not be behind. And throughout this whole time, I had this love for motorcycles, and I had this desire to just ride and want one. And I would always ask Jonathan, hey man, like, what do you think? What do you do that? So now I can start thinking about what I'm in love with and what bikes I want or may want in the future. And this is where it all really hit off. So if we backtrack a little bit, before the cemetery job, me and Jonathan actually went to the Progressive Motorcycle Show in Long Beach, California. I had never been to a motorcycle event before. I had never seen more than like 10 at a time. And next thing I know, I'm in this giant, absolutely giant convention center. Harley's there, Suzuki's there, you know, any and every motorcycle company is there at this time. And I'm just, you know, I'm starstruck. I'm like, holy crap, like this is what it's all about. You know, they have demo rides, so you see people taking demo rides on different bikes. I got a free shirt from Harley for like signing up for their things that I unsubscribed for right away, you know, stuff like that. And so this is where he starts telling me, like, you want a cruiser, man, like you're a big boy, you know, you want to be comfortable, you definitely don't want a street bike, which I already knew. So then I head over to the Harley booth, and once I'm in the Harley booth, you know, they have the new bikes and stuff, but I spy a bike that really kind of catches my eye. And it was in a this happened in 2018, I believe, maybe 2019. I spot an Iron 1200, and then my friends tell me about it, the guys tell me about it, and then I just sit on it and I fall in love with it. You couldn't get me off of it. I absolutely adored it. I loved the seating position. I loved the mini apes, hint hint. And I loved the colorway. It was the white with blue stripes colorway, and I just started researching the shit out of it, you know, and loving it. 1200, the Iron 1200, wow, holy crap, it's awesome. But at the time, I didn't really understand that there was such thing as, like, for example, this 3500, which is a little bike, and the 750, and the 883, which is, you know, obviously a lot less power than what I'm on right now. And then my friend just kind of Jonathan just starts looking at me and saying, dude, get a street bike. And then that's when I finally started getting the talks from people saying, like, you're gonna grow out of this bike, you're gonna love it, but you're gonna grow out of it. And I was already working down the hill, so I knew that I would commute eventually. I knew that I was gonna go on rides down the hill with Jonathan. We have big plans to go to a lot of places, and he said a 1200 can do it, but you know, you want that extra oomph. So for a long time I was stubborn. For a long time I was very stubborn, and I was like, no, like, I love the 1200s, blah 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 blah. And you know, slowly I was like, okay, like, all this stuff that you're saying makes sense, and you know, I kind of agree with it. But obviously in 1200 is very cheap compared to what I'm on right now. So I still wasn't in the best, you know, credit situation. There's a lot of things. I'll make another video about why my credit is bad and what made it so bad, because it was really good. And I'll give you guys some tips about credit as well. But you know, I'm just stuck on the 1200 and thinking, like, for me, maybe not because of maybe not for what I want, but for what I can afford, maybe a 1200 is, you know, the best for me, especially a used one from the dealer, because you know it's not going to come with problems, but it's not going to come with that 10K price tag of a brand new one. Brand new ones being over 10K after taxes and all that, obviously. So I get to the point where I'm like, okay, I went to Harley, got denied. I think I went to Harley twice with Jonathan, and both times it was like, hell no. For a reason that, you know, I don't really want to get into right now. But, you know, things happen. And then eventually, what's up, Dad? Damn, bro, with shorts. Oh, you're crazy. Eventually, I just want to go to Harley. I get in a better situation where I know I really won't get denied, and I'm like, I'm gonna get a 2018. So this is in 2020, and I told myself I'm gonna just get like a 2018 1200, pay it off as fast as I can, and then maybe I'll be in a better position to do something else in the future. So, you know, I think, you know, that's the best financial way to go about it. And next thing I know, I find out about this bike. I find out that earlier in the year, I had missed that Harley Davidson released a brand new motorcycle. The 2020 Softail Standard. Has the same power as a street bike, but is cheaper. And it still looks goddamn good. it looks amazing, and there's so much that you can do to it that I'll, you know, eventually do to it. And immediately, just like the time that I fell in love with the 1200, I look at the Standard and I say, that's my dream bike. I'm a little whore when it comes to bikes, but I looked at the Standard and I said, I want the Standard. That's my bike. That's my bike. And as soon as I told Jonathan that, he was like, yeah, hell yeah, that's good. So that was the first time that I gave him a bike option where he wasn't like, you know. So, you know, getting that seal of approval, getting, you know, actually wanting something and not compromising, I think was the biggest thing. And just being in love with something and wanting it, really, I think is what made it, you know, clear to me that that's what I should get. And so it took a couple more months after that. It's been such a long journey. And I'm fortunate enough to have a buddy that I used to go to high school with, and I'll actually make another video about that too, about the process of getting this bike through an old friend from high school that is a Harley Davidson, that works at Harley Davidson, and he's a salesman. So it's like all the stars finally aligned. And fortunate enough for me, about a month ago, I was able to close the deal on this bike. And it's funny because months prior to even owning a bike, I had the helmet, I had the gear, I had the GoPro, but nothing to use it on. And so my friends would clown on me. And I got a little ahead of myself. So about a couple weeks before actually getting the bike, I finally, you know, took the course, got the days off, which is hard to do. I've been working 7 days a week, 6 days a week for a while now. And I got the days off and the class. So I go up to the lovely city of Wrightwood to take the class, and I loved the class. It was so fun. But you know, I was a little too confident, and I had never actually driven a street legal motorcycle before, and I sucked. It was so funny that I was like a little bit, you know, cocky going into the class. And that's why I say that it's so funny how learning how to ride a motorcycle humbles you. So I end up taking the class, you know, and I learned on a Honda Grom, which is the next bike I'll probably buy, to be honest. Oh wow, did they almost just crash? Anyways, so I ended up learning on a Honda Grom, and I'm learning everything, and I'm sucking. But by the end of the first day, I had it down pretty well, you know, as best as I could. And the class was just a blast. It was, I wouldn't say a breeze, but it was a blast, and I passed the test. The written test, I passed the little driving test they give you at the end, and you know, I had the certification, got the license. It was a funny story about my license, because all the practice tests that I did online said you could miss 6 questions, but at the DMV, at least in California, you can only miss 4. So I was kind of going through the test, dilly-dallying around. I fucking missed the 5th one, and I lost. I was like, oh, I got scared. I was like, what? Like, what happened? Like, I didn't pass, and luckily I got lucky. And you know, she was like, do you want to take it again? I was like, yeah, I want to take it again. What do you mean? And it was so funny because they gave me a bunch of questions that I'd never even seen. But I missed 4 questions again, and I was on the last question. And so it was do or die. I pass it right here, or I have to either take it again or fucking go home and try again, you know? And luckily I got the last one. I was sweating bullets, but I got my license, got the bike, had Jonathan ride it home. It was funny because I wasn't really comfortable riding the bike. But eventually, after riding the bike a little bit around the neighborhood on a ride with Jonathan, you know, kind of like here we are, and we're learning as we go. We're recording as much as we can. I need to learn how to edit and put things together. But you know, it's like finally here and it's happening, and I couldn't be more happy to just kind of finally be able to live out the dream that I've had for so many years. But anyways, if you did enjoy, please like, please comment, share, talk to me, whatever you'd like. And yeah, and just, you know, oh yeah, I guess subscribe is one. But I'm just gonna continue to post as much as I can and just kind of go through the this thing called life with y'all, man. This year hasn't been so kind to us, so this is, you know, the best thing that's happened to me all year, and I couldn't be more excited about finally being able to experience this and be part of the amazing community that is, you know, Two Wheels. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.